Okay, I'm back. I messed around with a bunch of the settings since the game was down for a second anyway. Um, I believe that I've gotten the audio thing fixed to where I can actually hear the game now, and you guys should be able to hear it too. If you weren't able to, I think y'all were able to. I just didn't have it set up. Apparently, there's a setting hidden deep within OBS about like monitor output, and so I had to like check mark a box. And then I deleted my capture cards like thing on OBS, and then I uh, then I remade it, and that seems to also be working better now. So I'm gonna log back in, and hopefully the servers are back up. The only issue that I'm still kind of having is that I seem to be dropping frames sometimes, but the only explanation I can think of for that is just the fact that um, I am trying to stream and play an MMO at the same time, and that could be part of the issue. So there we go. Should be logging in. And the game is launching, so hopefully the servers are back up again. Get out of there, Fox Launcher. Cool. Oh, I wonder if this is... I think it actually... It might be putting this stream together with my old one, because the chat rate is 1, even though I haven't actually gotten any chats, I don't think. So, we'll see. Defiance is still thinking about it. Well, anyway, at least the stream itself is kind of fixed now. So, while we're waiting for the game to go back up, which shouldn't take that long, from what I understand with the stress test, it would only take them like a couple minutes to restart the servers and stuff. So you guys might see me have to log in and out a couple times, because, yeah, it seems like, yeah. It's so cool to be playing this on like launch day though. Again, like I remember when this game came out, I remember like pre-ordering it and stuff, and I remember like the day that it came out, and I think I played it on the day that it came out, and I remember like seeing just like tons and tons of players around. That was cool, and I remember like when I finally unlocked the red challenger for pre-ordering and stuff. Um, yeah, I remember because like I remember when the game first started, there was a bunch of people that were like, "Oh my god, how do we get the red challenger? You know, like how do we get that for pre-ordering?" And that was kind of like a issue that people were trying to solve. And I remember it was like you had to, I think you actually had to link your PlayStation account to your I think it was Tryon at that point who owned the game. You had to like link the accounts because you didn't just get like a code for it, which was kind of weird. Um, but yeah. Anyway, let me see. Let me check, see if I can find Fox's social media page and see if they have anything on there about what they're doing. Man, I am tired. It is early. It's now 6 a.m. And it's finally now light outside. Good morning to you guys, or very, very late night. um, Nothing there. Let me check. Well, while we're waiting for these servers to go ahead and pop back online, trying to think of some stuff to talk about. Well, okay, I know that Fox has like a Discord channel, but I don't like to use Discord, so I'm not gonna check into there. The game was running though. We got through a little bit of the tutorial. So the game is in fact real and everything. I know that like there were some people that I think were a little bit iffy about like Fox because they had never heard of them before, even though they had some other games and stuff. But that had me thinking. So that was the thing that I wanted to discuss a little bit. And what better time than while we're waiting to see if the servers pop back up online. So I was thinking about like how this whole thing happened with Fox licensing Defiance from Gamingo, and it's really interesting. And I'm curious if there will be any other companies that like do this business model in the future because it's happened also with what was it? Fallen Earth, kind of. I don't remember if Fallen Earth actually got bought by another company or if it was just like the same company that owned it already. But it's really interesting when you consider what is going on here with Fox because it's really kind of clever. So you think about Defiance and some of the other various like MMOs and live service games that they've revived and that like a couple other companies have done this kind of thing with. And you think about how actually it's a pretty financially like smart move. Um Whoops, hang on, let me log back in again. 1 second here. I gotta put all my focus into typing. So if you think about Defiance, right, and you think about like the game was developed and you had all the money put into it for development, etc., etc. Um, and like then the game came out initially, was online for a couple years, made all like well, you would hope made all of its money back for like development costs, was profitable for a while probably for like, to stay online for however many years it was online. Um and So then eventually when the game stopped being profitable, they took it offline and then didn't like nothing was really going on with Defiance for a while. There wasn't any the TV show had ended, the game was offline, that kind of thing. So if you think about it, oops, let me take that off of there. Also, apologies that not like really anything interesting is happening right now on the stream. But I can't really do anything other than just wait for the game to come back up. So, what I was saying. So, like, you've got this IP pretty much that nothing is really going on with. And, whoops. You've got this IP that nothing is really going on with. And, like, obviously Gamingo is probably not making any money from it. Any of the other like rights holders are probably not making any money from it. And to be honest, it seems like Defiance like has some sort of really good licenses with stuff or is like really lucky because I think that's part of what kills games a lot of times is like licensing. So like car games with vehicles and stuff like that. But anyway, so you've got this game and this like IP that's not really doing anything right, and then Fox comes along and offers Gamingo probably like some money and in order to license the game. And if you're Gamingo, it's kind of silly not to take that opportunity because you've got this product that you're not doing anything with that's not making any money, and here comes along this other company that's like, hey, we'll give you a little bit of money to use that ourselves. So Gamingo's making money off of something that they weren't even using pretty much. And then on the inverse, Fox then has all of this like has this game that has years of content already that was already fully developed, had a full storyline, had like 10 years or so of content that came out for it and stuff, and a like relatively active fan base. And with Fox being a smaller team like they seem to be, they probably don't need to make the crazy profits that Gamingo or any of the other bigger companies originally involved with it would have needed to make. So it's actually pretty smart because in the end it's sort of a win-win for the original like license holder of Gamingo, and also though it's kind of like a win for Fox because they have this game that already has all this content for it. And of course they've said before that they might like develop more stuff for it and things like that in the future. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Um, this one's taking a little longer than last time. Of course, now I get my stream all set up, and then now the game is down. Um, hey, you know what? Yeah, you probably haven't seen this loading screen in like however many years, so at least that's something. And I got all of about like 5 minutes of gameplay in, so that's pretty nice. Uh, but yeah, once the game does start working, hopefully eventually, I a couple of the ideas that I want to try to do pretty early on in this relaunch. Um, I'm kind of curious about a couple things. So one of the first things that I want to do is I actually want to go to this location you see in the background here, the Golden Gate Bridge. So Defiance had kind of a big change in one of the mechanics partway through, if I remember right. So the Golden Gate Bridge originally, so you start out Defiance pretty much like north of San Francisco proper. You start out in like Oakland, kind of, and you spend a lot of the game there. And eventually, though, you do go down to San Francisco proper. You cross the Golden Gate Bridge and stuff. But I remember when the game first came out, there was actually like a barrier in the way of the player to prevent them from going into San Francisco early. Which was there was this giant robot that just sat on the Golden Gate Bridge, and you couldn't get past it until you reached a certain point in the story where you had like you unlocked some sort of weapon or whatever it was to defeat this robot. And so for a good chunk of the game's lifespan, you couldn't cross the Golden Gate Bridge until you got to a certain point in the story because there's a giant robot. But then if I remember correctly, eventually later on they actually changed that to where you could go to San Francisco before you actually reach that point in the story. And so I'm really curious to go to the Golden Gate Bridge in the game right off the bat and see which version of that they have. If the giant robot is still there, or if they've taken the giant robot out like they did, if I remember right, with the original Defiance. Um, the other thing too that I want to do is get a challenger ASAP, because obviously since this is not the original like owners of the game, I can't transfer over my stuff, at least not yet. So I don't have my red challenger from the get-go like I did when the game originally came out all those years ago. But there are other ways to get challengers in Defiance. The two that come to mind that are not really like luck based are there was a black Dodge Challenger you could get as a reward for some stuff to do with some of the races. If you won like however many races or whatever, that was like the reward was the black Challenger. And then there also was another one that was probably the easiest sort of to obtain in the game. There's an orange Dodge Challenger. There's a secret kind of vendor in the game. There's this one spot on the map that you go to, and if you go to it, you will end up. There's like a bunch of enemies around, and um, once you fight off all the enemies, there's a vendor that comes out of this one building, and you can buy stuff from, and that is where you can get the orange Challenger. I don't remember if that was like expensive though. Also, while I'm waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and change the game title back to Defiance. Save, there we go. And let me open back OBS. And keep on trying to connect. Last time the servers went down, it only took them like 2 minutes to get them back up and running, so hopefully nothing horribly wrong has occurred. I think that it was a good idea that they did that stress test that they did, but I do think that it might also have been kind of, it might have been in their better interest to have that stress test be a little bit longer, because from what I understand, when they did the like Hullbugs thing, stress test, it was only like for 2 hours or so, and so that's not really like a super good indicator of like, I don't know, like when your stress test when your stress test is, hey, there we go. when your stress test is kind of short like that, that doesn't necessarily give you a super strong representation of like how many people are actually going to play, because only a limited number of people probably have the time to play. For example, like when I actually didn't even realize that that stress test occurred until after it had occurred. And I wish I had known about it earlier, because I would have absolutely participated in it. But I didn't really see it advertised anywhere. So
it looks like the mutants are getting organized for an attack.
Oh no, we better help her.
put that there, and yay! Now I can hear the game. Cool. Now let's actually play a little bit before the servers crash again. Gotta go help Cass Dukar. Now shortly here, if I remember right, we get to the main wreckage of the carrier, and then from there we get like an ATV, and we're kind of let loose out into the world. So then I can go investigate the Golden Gate Bridge like I want to. Apologies that, whoops. I'm trying to remember which button it was for roll. Hey, there you go, Alt.
According to my readings, those creatures are actually humans. However, their DNA is severely mutated.
What was I gonna say? I don't even remember. I always get distracted. I do want to actually play the game for a little while, though. Apologies that it has taken a little while for me to actually get streaming today. Yeah, I don't know why OBS was acting so weird. I think it was just one of those things where, like, the way I had the iMac plugged in for this, like, freaked it out or something, because it was like, it was almost like glitching out and crashing, which was kind of strange. But once I restarted the Mac Studio and like redid my setup for OBS, it seems to have mostly fixed itself. So that is very good. And yes, you did hear me correctly. I'm playing this on an iMac. No, I'm not playing it on Mac OS. I'm actually playing it on Windows via Boot Camp. It's sort of a long story. When I did my little test stream to make sure the stream setup would work, when I tested it out a couple days ago, I explained it. But if you weren't there for that stream, long story short, so I have a couple of Windows computers, but this iMac is actually my best Windows computer right now for gaming. So I have I've got like a $200 laptop that I got from Walmart that one time that I made a video about forever ago. My connection's bouncing around a little bit, but seems to be alright for streaming mostly. So I had I got that $200 on laptop that I did that review on forever ago, but obviously that wasn't going to run the game. I've also got my little B-Link mini PC, and that actually maybe could have run the game, because Defiance's requirements for game stuff are not that high. I have to clear up now. So, no. So that maybe could have run the game, but I don't really think it would have. So then that leaves my Dell Inspiron 15 7000 Gaming, which was that worked for a lot of games for a while, but then I mentioned before that it like got slow and stuff, and to be honest, like Windows in general has just not been great for a while. I've found that on recent versions of Windows that whenever it updates, it will slow literally everything down insane amounts. And so that computer suffers from that quite a bit. And then, what else was there? Well, so anyway, I didn't want to, that one also being a laptop wasn't great. So anyway, I have this iMac, and originally my goal with it was to have it be kind of like my, my sort of like 32-bit Mac OS computer, because I wanted to play. Well, I'll talk
That's
after
amazing.
this cutscene.
First time I've ever seen one in action. You know, I think we're gonna make one hell of a team. A little backup can take you a long way in this crazy place. I'm heading to the crash site. They're gonna need help. I'm sure we'll be in contact. Arc Hunter.
Okay, so what I was saying, originally my goal with this iMac was to be my 32-bit macOS computer because newer versions of macOS don't have compatibility with 32-bit apps, which subsequently means that a bunch of the older, slightly older games that were on Steam that were available on macOS do not work on newer Macs. So this is an Intel iMac. It's got an i7. It's, oh man, with connections timed out again. Well, good time to explain the setup a little bit more. What I was saying was, oh, cool. That didn't take long. Jesus! What do you mean Q position 124? Good God, I was just in the game. Okay. Anyway, so I got this iMac because it can run the last version of macOS that was compatible with 32-bit apps. And I had to downgrade the macOS version, but that was not actually that hard because when I got it, I didn't have anything on it, so I didn't really need to worry about like preserving any files or anything. So that was actually not that hard to downgrade it. But then after I downgraded it, Steam on macOS, there's some sort of glitch where sometimes Steam on Mac will just tell you that you're not connected to the internet, even if you are connected to the internet. So that's kind of frustrating, and I tried all sorts of workarounds to fix that, and I could not for the life of me get any of them to work at all. So eventually I kind of gave up on that, but then I realized, you know, it is an Intel iMac. I could do boot camp and install Windows on it. So I went ahead and did that, and it actually is good. And I mean, this is like a 2013 iMac, I think, or something. But at the time, in 2013, this would have been like a really high-end iMac. It's got an i7 processor. It's got some sort of pretty powerful graphics card. I want to say it's got like 64 gigabytes of RAM. Or at least like 32 or something. So it's a pretty powerful computer for the time. And so installing Windows on there, pretty much every game that I've tried to play from that era, which is like a lot of the games that I still play, almost all of them work. So that's pretty good. So this has legitimately become like my Windows gaming computer. And it works pretty well. So I kind of hope the game didn't like break, because we got kicked out of the server like right as the mission was ending. This could be kind of bad, because I don't know if the game might have kicked me out as I finished one mission but before assigning me the next mission, so I might be stuck here. Oh, okay. Well, oh my god. Well, you know, as much as it kind of sucks that I'm having issues getting this all working, I am glad that I've gotten a little bit of gameplay out of it. And it's nice to see that there are enough people trying to play the game right now that the game's crashing. So I can't complain. Like at least 159 players is not too bad. I'm kind of trying to see if anybody else is live right now. I see one other person live. moderately tolerable, but it looks like they're in kind of much the same position as me, where the game is not quite wanting them to play. Yeah, they're just like looking at. I think they're doing the same thing as me right now. He's doing the same thing. He's on Twitch and he's looking at who's live. It's kind of funny. I am a little concerned though, because I may be trapped here. That's not good. And also, well, okay, and I've been kicked out, and I'm dropping frames like crazy. Oh, hey, there's a new thing here. Let me read this for a second too. In a world torn apart by invasion, humanity's last hope was Ark Hunters, heroes who fought side by side to reclaim what was ours, our future. For years, Defiance was more than a game. It was a living world where alliances were forged, battles were won, and legends were born. Now the world of Defiance is coming back. The Ark falls, the battles, the very heart of the game you loved, it's all returning just as it was. At Fox, we're a small, passionate studio. Our mission is simple: to revive Defiance, to bring back the memories, and to reconnect with you, the community that made this world unforgettable. We're dedicated to bringing you the excitement, the battles, and the chaos you loved, but as a small team, we can only work with what's already here for now. While we can enhance, polish, and restore what was once lost, creating new content will depend on you, the Ark Hunters. The fight for Earth is far from over. With your support, we'll continue to grow, shape, and evolve this world. Together, we'll bring Defiance back to life. Welcome back, Ark Hunters. The legacy continues. Yeah, I'm a little concerned because every time I'm getting back into the game, I'm getting stuck in the tutorial area. That could just be a server issue though, I suppose. Yeah, because whenever I'm getting into the game must be communicating some insane amount of data, because when I'm actually in the game, my stream bitrate goes down a ton. Which makes me think that there's something kind of iffy with the servers right now. Yeah. Oh, 3 views. Very nice. Let's see, is there anything else that I can look at while I'm in here? Let's look at the settings together for a moment, why don't we? Because Defiance has quite a few settings. Damage numbers like Borderlands. Chat. Profanity filter, ooh. Turn that off. I've got this in windowed full screen because that seemed to help with getting the stream to work. So that was helpful. Graphics are pretty good settings. Voice, that's voice chat, I'm guessing. Even though I think it's kind of built for mouse and keyboard, I believe that controller support might be on the way too, because I could have sworn when I saw the stuff about that stress test, that was something they talked about, was testing controller usage. Support desk credits. Oh, you know, I wonder if Fox has put themselves into the credits or not yet. Double helix. I'm guessing they'd probably be down at the bottom. Sci-fi. No. Actually, these credits are the old ones to 2013. Support desk. Yep. Visit our site. Visit our site. Fox Games. That's cool that they got that fixed. Uh-oh. Menu broke. Alright. Well, as much as it kind of sucks that I didn't actually really get to play the game very much right now, I think I am going to go ahead and end the stream there, at least for now. I might try again later on, like today, depending on sort of how I feel, to try this again. But it is cool that I got a little bit of gameplay, but even when I was getting back into the server, I was still stuck in the tutorial area. So, because if I'm stuck there permanently, I might have to make like a whole new character again, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream there. I know I didn't really play the game that much, but I've not really been able to play the game that much, and I'm very tired. It's 6:30 a.m. right now. So anyway, thank you guys for watching the little bit of stream that I did have.